My name is Shelley Brazley, and I currently sit on the Hempstead School Board. My seat expires June 30th of this year, and there will be an election May 19th.
Hi, my name is Dr. David B. Gates, and I'm running for trustee for the Hempstead School Board. One of the reasons why I'm running for trustee is because I grew up in Hempstead. I'm a product of the Hempstead school system, beginning with Prospect Elementary School, to the middle school, and to the high school. I graduated in 1982, and in my class, there were a total of 331 students. I graduated in the top 10% of my class, and all 331 students that year graduated. I am very concerned about the state of our district at this point. I believe that our district have some of the brightest minds and some of the brightest educators. The critical part for us is that we now must marry those two together and create something that we know that can stand outside of the walls of Hempstead. Hempstead laid a perfect foundation for me. Everything that I'm doing now, I'm doing it because of the foundation that was laid here. And I believe that if Hempstead can propel me outside of these walls to be successful, that it has the ability once again to do the same for the children who are currently in the school system. And so I'm asking you if you would reach out and support me, Dr. David B. Gates, Roll D on May 19th, 2015, along with re-electing our trustee Shelley Brazley, Roll B. At the end of the day, Trustee Brazley has stood firm on our beliefs that our children are the #1 priority. And now it's important that we change the mindset of a culture and helping everyone to believe that our children really are the #1 priority.
I too am an alumni. I graduated in 1974, class of 1974, and I'm excited about this team. We are bridge builders. We grew up in this community. We received tremendous benefits from growing here. And I'm looking forward to working with Dr. Gates so that we can, in fact, restore the raw. I've been on the board for 3 years. I've learned a lot. Dr. David Gates and I can really make a big difference. We can start really implementing things that will propel our district forward. I'm looking forward to this team helping to restore the raw.
Trustee Brazley and I have gathered some points that we feel are very critical as a platform which we would like to deliver during this election season. And one of those platforms is creating a comprehensive drop-back-in program. If you ride through our village at any given time during the course of the day, you will see that many of the corners, there are young men or even young women who either dropped out of school for whatever reasons, and they did not complete their education. Trustee Brazley and I have created a platform that we believe is a strong platform that will help deliver our message throughout this campaign. And one of the points of our platform is creating a comprehensive drop-back-in program. If you ride throughout our village at any time during the given day, you'll find that there are many young people who are on corners who did not complete their education. We understand that if we're going to build a strong community, if we're going to build a strong district, that education must become a priority. We believe that every student should be afforded an opportunity to learn and grow. And so it is critical for our community that we build these bridges, that we build the bridges necessary for them to come back into an environment that will embrace them, that will not judge them, that will not criticize them, but will embrace them and then help propel them forward into their future and into their destiny. As Hempstead has done for us, it gave us that foundation. It gave us the ability to do the things that we're doing today. Many of the things that we're doing today, we never thought we could do it, but we had those educators who believed in us when we did not believe in ourselves. We had those educators who coasted and guided us, who pushed us, who propelled us, who refused to allow us to give up. Those things got difficult, those things got strong. They saw something in us that we didn't see in ourselves. And so now we must stop laying blame on our children for a number of reasons and do what others have done to us. We must now look at them and see the future, see the potential, see the ability to go beyond, and now push them to go to greater heights than we were able to go.
I love it, Dr. Gates, a drop back in program. That's absolutely what we need in our community. I'm excited about this Brazley Gates ticket. I'm telling you, we got great things in store for this community. I love Hempstead, and we got great things in store. Now, another point that we're trying to do is bringing all the stakeholders together. See, can't you just see what he just said? I can see it, giving our children another opportunity. But the only way we can really do that effectively is if we pull everybody in and we all have something to say. We all contribute. We all make a decision as to how we want our school community to look. We can all do that. If you just elected one or two board members, it's not going to do it. You know, my pastor used to say, it's hard by the yard, but it's a cinch by the inch. So if we can provide some training that will empower us as a community to come together and map out some goals, where we're going as a school district, and then you, the community, tell the board. In most functioning communities, that's what happens. The community tells the board what they want the school to look like, and the board gives those objectives and goals to the superintendent. Superintendent then has to give us some kind of plan as to how she's going to reach or he's going to reach those goals. That's what we want to do next. We want to bring us all together as a community so that we can say what our district is going to look like. We are ready to restore the roar. Won't you help us? We're looking forward to seeing you. After you elect us, we want you to come to the meeting so we can get it together.
So listen, Trustee Brazley and I are not novices to this community. We have worked in this community untiringly for a number of years. Trustee Brazley, in and of herself, created a dance troupe, a dance academy that brought young people together, that brought families together. It actually brought them to a point of discipline. And she moved from there and became an entrepreneur, where she actually created what we call it a store, but it really was a coffee house, because people would gather there and share their platforms about not the negative things of our community, but how we could build a better community. It was through those conversations that birthed out many different organizations and auxiliaries. As we look at our community now, the complexion of our community has changed at large. When we look back to the early 1960s, it was largely African American and Caucasian. As we move forward into the 80s and 90s, we're moving forward to a different complexion. We have a Latino mix and we have an African American mix. Now, many people will make you believe that our children are at odds with each other, that there's a lot of conflict, but I beg to differ. I think the conflict comes because we don't understand culture. We don't understand languages. We don't understand diversity. We don't understand the importance to appreciate one another's culture, one another's language, one another's diversity. With that being said, Trustee Brazley and I have another platform that we want to institute, a universal secondary language program that our children will begin studying Spanish and English from early as pre-K to grade 12. We think it's important because it's critical that as the dynamics of our community change, as the dynamics of our country change, it is important that we be able to understand and embrace each other's cultures, understand and embrace each other's dynamics, understand and embrace each other's language, just as we would love for our Latino brothers and sisters to learn the English language. It is critical that our African American brothers and sisters learn that Latino language,
Yes,
so that we can have strong conversation. I believe that both cultures have great strength, have great history, and if we can merge the two together, it's just like corporations. Corporations look at what you do good and what I do good and say, let's come together and do it better. And I believe that this universal language program would actually do just that. It would bring us together to become a better Hempstead, a better school district, a better community. As we move forward, one of the other platform points that we've really been discussing is specialized high schools. We believe that it's critical that our children learn in specialized environments. We understand that if you go into many of the other areas or in the 5 boroughs, they've created a platform or a system to educate their children. So if you have a love for the law, there is a high school for that. If you have a love for engineering, there's a high school for that. If you have performing arts, there's a high school for that. Whatever your specialty is, there's a high school created for it. We believe that that model can work here in Hempstead. It just has to be developed properly, it has to be implemented properly, and then it has to be carefully observed. We believe that all of our children should not be forced to operate in one model. Many of our children are bright, and what we find with bright children is that if you have a bright child and that child is not being challenged, then there's a behavior problem that will begin to arise because they're not being challenged to their maximization or to the maximizing of their potential. So what we want to do is that we want to bridge the gap. We want to bridge the gap between all of our school systems. We also believe that it's critical in our community that we create smaller classes. When we were growing up, there were certain things, and Trustee Brazley uses a term called catchments. And if you grew up in a certain catchment, then you went to a community school in your catchment. And what happened was, when those catchments began to rally together, there was a lot of contending going. So your basketball team played against the Heights, played against the Hills, and things of that nature. When we look at the middle school, we look at a scenario where there are too many students, it's overcrowded. And what looks best for us, what we're looking at as a model, is the possibility of taking the middle school and dispersing those students out into the elementary schools in their local catchments, and then bringing the elementary children to the middle school. Why? Because if we move the elementary students outside of their local vicinity, then there's a great possibility that we can work on transportation for those students, because we're busing them at least 1 mile to 2 miles away from their home. So we're looking at creating this specialized program for smaller classroom settings, and I believe that it will be a benefit for all. So most recently, the Hempstead School District, over the course of this year, has remained in the newspaper or in the media repeatedly. And many times it was amazing to me that of the exploitation of our district, the exploitation of our staff, the exploitation of the existing school board. What's amazing is that the persons who say that they were brought to defend the gates or to defend the walls of our community actually was a part of that exploitation. It is critical. I grew up in an era that whatever happened in your house stayed in your house. And I think it's critical that as a people, that if we're going to protect our children, and we say that children are the #1 priority, then we have to stop exploiting the deficiencies. What adults don't realize is that children hear the negative comments, whether they hear it in the barber shop, whether they hear it in the bodega, whether they hear it in Staples, whether they hear it sitting in McDonald's. And so what it's doing is that it's planting a seed of negativity to make them believe that they are in a failing school district, a failing school that can never rise. But we believe as bridge builders that the bridge extends from the north to the south, that the bridge extends whatever the length you want. And with a bridge extension, there is a hope. And with extensions of bridges, there is hope. There is the ability to rise. And so what we're saying to the community at large, it's time now for us to rise up and change a culture, change a mindset. We are greater than what anyone has ever said about us. We are not what they say we are. We are not what they claim that we have done in the past. Yes, we've had some challenges, but can I tell you something? There are other school districts in Nassau County who've had challenges also. But the difference between them and us is that their deficiencies were not exploited. Theirs were concealed. So we've got to get to the point where we become keepers not only of our brothers, but keepers of our sisters. And we've got to make sure that we don't allow outsiders to exploit our city walls. What's amazing to me is that there are so many people right now who feel as though from the outside that they can come inside and tell us how to get it done, as though those of us on the inside are not intelligent enough or not educated enough to fulfill the mandate. Well, I want to send you a message with a clarion call. We really don't need your help. At the end of the day, we know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. But the challenge for us now, if we want to get out of this, we got to vote out. So I want to challenge you to move to forget about the pettiness and the little things that keep us down. And let's remember that our children are worth more. Our children are worth more. And it is up to us to get out and vote to bring change to our community.
I love it, Dr. Gates. I really, really do. That is why I call him the pastor of the 11550. He has a universal outlook on what Hempstead is, what it was, and what we're moving back to. The children in our community are absolutely special. They really, really are. And there is just this inner light in them, and it's the responsibility of the adults that are in this community to pull that light out. It's our responsibility to do that. And so I'm excited about this new day. We're not going to look at the failures. We're going to bridge all the gaps between each community within our community. And we are going to become one. You know, we used to do this little cheer, we are the Tigers, the mighty, mighty Tigers, right? We're still the Tigers. We're still the Tigers. And there are Tigers all over this country that might see this. And it's time for the alumni to come together. And we need to identify ourselves and where we are so that our children will know that wherever they go, we Tigers are around and we have their back. We're going to do everything we can to pour into our children so that they will be the leaders, the gift to this planet that God intended for them to be. My name is Shelley Brazley. I am a Tiger, and this is
Dr. David Gates.
We're Tigers.
We're Tigers.
For life.
For life. I want to leave you with this message today. There is a passage in the book of Haggai, the 2nd chapter and the 3rd verse. And it says, who has seen this house? And how does it look to you now? Does it look like it's nothing? So my question to you, my friend, is that who saw Hempstead in its earlier days? And how does it look to you now? Does it look to you as nothing? Who remembered Hempstead when we were thriving? When the school system was at the top? When our football team, our track team, our basketball team, our fourth wall players, our band, our choruses was all county, all state. Who remembers Hempstead in its first glory, and how do we see it now? But round about the 9th verse, it completes by saying, but the glory of the latter house shall be greater than the former, and in it we will have peace. It is the desire of Trustee Brazley and I, is to return Hempstead back to its former glory, where we were thriving, where we were trailblazers, where we were trendsetters, when others would come and steal our concept and our ideas. The only way we can do that is that you must re-elect Trustee Shelley Brazley, and you must elect Dr. David B. Gates on Tuesday, May 19th, 2015. Vote row B and row D. All is being held at the ABGS Middle School, 70 Greenwich Street, Hempstead, New York, from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. We need you to help us not only bridge the gap, but restore the roar.
Please remember, May 19th. My name is Shelley Brazley, and I need your help. We are the bridge builders. We are the bridge over troubled waters. Please come out May 19th and vote row B for Brazley and row D for Dr. David Gates. We're looking forward to seeing you at the polls.
We are pleased to be here this evening to support Bishop Gates. Bishop Gates was the EOC Living the Dream honoree in 2014. All of the ideals we saw in him, his principles, is why we are here to support him tonight. He is a man of integrity. We know he will bring change to the Hempstead School Board. He is an educator, he is a mentor, he is a community activist. He is what Hempstead needs. Hempstead children need Bishop Gates.